better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Another edition of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark. And back with us co-hosting today is the Yuli DiMartino. Yuli, welcome back. Good to have you back here on the show. And for those joining the live stream, as always, we are still live streaming across all CDG social media platforms, all of them. Post those comments. We'll bring them into today's show. And have we got a bunch of topics that are hot for you today? Mohawk Honda joins the show today to talk about how they're out punting the market, over 500 units sold monthly in a super small town. So you want to learn more about that, join that conversation. Plus, DealerPay CEO joins to talk about the top 3 financial concerns that keep automotive CFOs awake at night. Be interesting to hear what those are and what to do about it. But first, Yuli and our audience, let's dive into today's headlines. So super interesting. What happens when automotive lending rates go down? Well, that's happening right now. Auto loan refinancing surged 69% last quarter. That compared to a year ago. According to Experian, average rates dropped from 10.45% to 8.45%, saving borrowers about $71 a month. Credit unions are driving the boom, capturing 68% of refinances and delivering the biggest savings, about $87 a month versus just $46 through banks. But the relief isn't evenly shared. Prime and super prime borrowers dominate the refi market, while subprime borrowers, who arguably need it most, make up just 12% of refinances, despite holding nearly a fifth of all the auto debt. And now some banks are opening up, like Chase, for example, letting non-customers with outside auto loans apply online to refinance directly through them, a clear attempt to claw back market share. Looking ahead, JP Morgan and some Fed officials expect multiple rate cuts into 2026, setting the stage for even more refinancing demand. This is part of the cycle of life in automotive. Rates go up, rates come down. Anytime you see them come down, it's a race to refi. And those dealerships, those auto groups that find a way to meet customers where they are in those refis will win. Not so sure how the Chase piece will go, allowing consumers to go refi directly on their site. I want those customers in my showroom and in my finance office. Next up today, Jaguar Land Rover, big news from JLR, says a cyber attack has, quote, severely disrupted its production and retail systems, forcing the automaker to pause operations while it scrambles to bring them back online. The attack is impacting both manufacturing plants and retail operations, leaving dealerships unable to register or deliver vehicles to customers. Details are sparse at this time, but we're following the story. We'll bring you updates as they become available. But super interesting, kind of brings back memories of a summer ago when the CDK outage started. And after 48 hours, everybody was scratching their head waiting for that moment when it would pop up line, and it took a little longer. Hopefully, JLR doesn't end up sitting out that long. Next up today, EVs may be cheaper to refuel, but EVs are a lot more expensive to insure. This, according to a new report from Insurify. EV insurance premiums have jumped 16% over the past year to, get this, $4,058 annually, and now average 49% higher than gas cars, which cost $2,732 to insure per year. The primary reason for this is the cost of repairs. According to Mitchell Collision data, EV collisions are 22% pricier to fix than ICE cars, and totaled EVs end up costing about 18% more on average to replace. Essentially, a higher priced car that's more expensive to repair and fewer places to fix it is raising insurance premiums. The problem is rising premiums pile onto already high EV costs, just as federal tax credits are set to expire. And without stronger state incentives or lower price models, affordability will remain one of the segment's biggest roadblocks. Super interesting. You know, it's fascinating to me. EV demand is what it is. It's gonna normalize post all the rebates. But the big sell of EV was costing less.
Cost savings.
And a lot of the data we're getting right now, insurance premiums more, repair premiums more. cost to replace, cost to repair after a collision. So many of those areas that initially I think the appeal was it was less, it's more. It's fascinating.
We did the math when all the hybrid powertrains came out. Do you remember that? In the late 2000s, the hybrid powertrains were coming out on the big gas guzzling SUVs. That dollar savings is just not there. Not like you would think.
Next up today, poor communication is gutting service retention. This, according to Derek Simons, EVP of Automotive with Numa. At this year's NAMAD, N-A-M-A-D conference in Las Vegas, Simons shared that over 80% of service advisor calls go unanswered. 80%, especially on Mondays. By the way, what is it with Mondays? Nobody wants to call back on Mondays, or is it just they're overwhelmed with calls? With callbacks taking an average of 23 hours. So hopefully somebody says that on a voicemail. And nearly 40% of those calls are just customers chasing updates they could have received proactively. But Simons argued pay plans often work against retention. Advisors are often paid on short-term profit, managers typically on monthly net, leaving little incentive to prioritize long-term loyalty. And he warned CSI scores can't fix it after the fact. By the time a customer leaves a bad survey, the damage is already done.
Mm-hmm.
The real opportunity is catching breakdowns in communication in real time, whether with tighter processes, better tools, or smarter compensation. What's the bottom line here? Well, service departments don't lose customers because of one bad repair. They lose them because the customer feels ignored. Dealers who close that communication gap will keep service lanes full and full future showroom deals alive. And it brings me to an interesting quote from an industry spotlight we did. If a customer has to call a service department for an update, that is a problem. We need to be more proactive in our service departments.
I agree wholeheartedly. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. So Yuli, we often get requests to come join the show. Dealers saying, hey, how do I join? We've talked about this the past many episodes. We want to bring it back up here. For those dealers with interesting, unique, or insightful perspectives on the industry, we want you here on this show, sharing those perspectives with all the audience we get, between 5 and 10,000 live every episode, and then on the podcast and living live online thereafter. If you want to be part of this show, cdgguest.com, fill out our intake form to be considered for a future guest spot. And we'd love to have as many guests as we can get to come be part of that. It's interesting. Igor K says, also tariffs at lower kind is what causes the repairs to be higher and slower shipping and higher costs to ship part. Baddie meow. Can Indian dealers participate? Lauren Klein says, does that increase having to do with autopilot liability? Autopilot liability is interesting, Yuli, because we've talked about that in prior shows. That the liability of a machine making a decision
could be on the OEM.
Ends up going to the deeper pockets, the OEM, right? And so
Yeah.
actually insurance companies could be off the hook. Nate, the truck driver, he's back joining us today, present and accounted for, Nate. We're happy you're back for your dose of the Daily Dealer Live today. So, all right, Yuli, let's jump into our first guest. I'm super pumped to hear
Let's go.
from a dealership and a general manager that sells over 500 units a month and outpunts his competition by leaps and bounds in his small market. Welcome to the show, Greg Johnson, general manager, Mohawk Honda. Greg, welcome to the show. Actually, you know what? Let's skip it up. We'll come back to Greg in just a minute, but actually, let's go to those things that keep CFOs awake every night.
Perfect.
And it's a fascinating list when you think about it. What are the things that could keep a chief financial officer, whether it's a large group like ours at 41 plus rooftops or a 1 or 2 point? Let's welcome to the show, Julie Douglas, CEO and founder of Dealer Pay LLC. Julie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Nice
Thanks
to
for being on. You know what? Before we go into, well, actually, let's ask it. Let's ask our banner question, which is how's biz? But as you answer that, will you just tell everybody who you are and what you do in the world?
Sure, absolutely. Julie Douglas, CEO, founder of Dealer Pay. We are really the only cutting edge payment solutions provider that's specific to dealers. So what we've created in this space is something that helps automate processes while interacting with all the other financial systems to help dealers in all their departments.
Okay. And from your perspective, as a vendor serving and working with dealerships across the country, How's biz out there in automotive, Julie?
It's busy. You guys keep me busy, and it's a great problem to have. We're continuing to innovate as we work through all the changes in the industry, good, bad, or indifferent. It's a very exciting place where we're at right now because we're able to listen to some of these things that you guys identify, like you just did. Poor communication, slow follow up. Those are the kinds of things that we take in to make our solutions better for dealers. All that feedback is fantastic.
And by the way, I'm waiting for the day when one of the vendor partners comes on and we say, how's biz? And they're like, it's terrible. There's nothing, there's no business. I mean, nobody ever is going to say that because that's not the answer. But Julie, I do know you're out there and you're continually engaging and interacting with CFOs and large dealer groups across the country. And there are a few things that you're seeing, and we'd love to bring you in as a subject matter expert today. In September of 2025, today's September 3rd, what are a couple of the biggest issues that confront CFOs that maybe most people don't realize, don't understand, don't see?
Sure. So, CFOs obviously control the money, and they implement or help to implement processes through the dealership, whether it be fixed ops, variable, et cetera, to help improve processes, except for the piece that has to do with accounting, except for the piece that has to do with money. Even some of the biggest groups that I've seen out there are still using very old technologies to process payments, credit cards, checks, you name it, even crypto. I mean, there's all kinds of options now, but for some reason, this piece of the process gets left off the priority list. So, I think where they have concerns are leaks in profitability, areas in where maybe there's compliance concerns, and just overall being more successful front to back.
So you're saying that in a lot of cases, an issue that is a real issue gets overlooked because it's not screaming in front of most people. So you say older payment methods. What are the older payment methods? What are the newer payment methods? And what's the transition challenge to the new?
Sure. So older payment methods, often referred to as just a commodity, a payments commodity, are going to be using your bank, just a terminal on the desk, otherwise known as disconnected systems. So using a terminal that has a manual batch that requires keys, sometimes even where a customer, for example, in fixed ops would have to go to a cashier and not interact with a service advisor. Areas like that end up being more manual, taking longer, and lose that full customer experience.
Okay. And the solution is to automate it, to digitize it, to make sure that all the different disparate systems talk to each other. How do you do that? Like what in 2025, September of, what's the best practice there to make sure it's automated and working to the best of the ability?
Sure. So, I mean, software providers all over the place are integrating the DMS. I would say that that's the first thing. You've got to be able to have the data, and the data has to be real time and it has to be fast. So, for example, a service advisor's got to be able to pull RO data quickly from the from the DMS, and then process the payment within seconds. Some of the studies we've shown is customers are waiting. Increasingly getting frustrated. Maybe you got to go here, you got to go there. What we're just trying to do is make that process smoother, faster, and everybody's experience, even the user at the dealerships experience better.
Yeah. All right. I got a question for you. Something that's become all the rage lately, it seems like, in automotive that, I know we talked about on the industry spotlight. Surcharging for credit cards. So you walk into a car dealership, you're going to pay for the service repair RO, and there's a surcharge if I pay by credit card. Which, by the way, I think that happens in industries outside of automotive. Like I've been to restaurants over this past weekend where there's a surcharge. I've been to like stores to buy things or rent something, and you're getting charged a fee for running a credit card charge. Why is that? What is that? And why are we seeing more of it right now? And is it something that you would recommend and endorse, Julie?
Sure. So it's a complicated topic. It doesn't have to be, but it is. It is very common now. And yes, it's happening in all retail, restaurants, you name it. I mean, people who once absorbed this as a cost of doing business now know that they can share the fee with the customer.
Yep.
If you were to ask me, out of 10 deals that land on my desk, I would say about 7 out of 10 are interested in some sort of surcharge program.
Okay.
Here's the problem. There's a huge compliance risk with this, right? So there's
What's
lots
the
of
compliance risk?
organizations. Yeah, so lots of organizations, financial institutions, even DMSs, even they don't have all the boxes checked to make sure dealers are 100% compliant. So if dealers are willy-nilly adding fees here and there to this customer, not this one, I mean, there are fees and risks to doing that. So, even though it's exciting because you get to, maximize profits, the biggest piece of it is making sure you're compliant.
So is compliance charging that same fee uniformly across the board and making sure that you do that?
It is, yes, uniformly, but it is also different by state, which puts another layer of complication on it. It's different by state. It's different, even sometimes having to do with taxes. So one of the things that's been just a huge priority of ours, because these things continue to change, is that you keep up with these rules and regulations so that dealers don't have to worry about it, and we just take care of it.
Yeah. So where's a good place to go to find out about the compliance piece of this and maybe some of the state differences? And then I want to actually transition into like what if scenarios if a customer comes in, doesn't want to pay it. But where's a great resource to go to understand more about the compliance of it?
So we, DealerPay, our company is very much educated. We have lawyers on staff. We have accounting resources just to make sure dealers are on point. We do have states up in the Northeast that are still concerned with the word surcharge. So there's another program they refer to as cash discount or dual pricing. So what you got to be, very diligent about is making sure all of your quotes, all of your ROs and parts tickets, they all have this fee listed on it in the correct manner. Where we find a lot of, folks with those standalone commoditized terminals is there's no way they can do that. So, we're happy to be a resource. We've also got lots of external resources that we can recommend to dealers to be, a non-biased resource. But trust me, I don't want anybody using my system if it's not done correctly. I've built too much of a reputation to risk any of that.
All right, so let's talk about what ifs. You've got a great customer, longtime customer to your auto dealership store, comes in, says, you know what? I've never paid this. This popped up during COVID.
Ooh.
I don't pay these fees. If you continue to have this, I refuse to do business, or you've got to find another way. Can you remove it from that RO? What are some options to still remain legally compliant, Julie, in the market in September of 2025?
Sure. So if you're going to implement the program, you've got to implement the program. Okay. So you can say, I'm going to, surcharge Sam, but not Julie, or whatever the case may be. It has to be uniformly introduced into the dealership. There are certain exceptions. Service contract payments, right? Warranty payments. There are exceptions with that have to be addressed. But here's the thing, and you're probably referring to that customer experience, CSI. How are they going to handle this? Couple comments on it. First, as you mentioned, they're seeing it everywhere else, right? They're seeing it at the restaurant. They're seeing it here. So it's not going to be anything new to them. The second thing is you can give them some options. Okay, you don't want to incur the surcharge. We're going to give you the option to pay by a debit card, check, or even cash. I know that brings back some of our non-electronic payments that don't exactly excite people, but now you're giving your customers an option. So prior to surcharging being a thing, normally dealers were about 75% credit card, 25% debit card. Now the scales are shifting a little bit where it's more 50-50.
Really?
But,
interesting.
You've got customers that don't have the money in their checking account. So they unfortunately have to pay a surcharge if that's what you've introduced.
So how are you tracking it and watching the correlation between the surcharge and CSI? You mentioned CSI. Are there tips and kind of best practice recommendations for implementing this it does help cover a real fee that exists as a result of running that card. Do you have some tips and best practices for implementing this so that your CSI is not impacted?
Absolutely. Transparency is key. Because of part of the compliance, you have to put signage in each of your departments, your entryways on your doors. We recommend before implementing this is to get your signs in place, get your customers asking questions. But even more is the training of your staff. What we've seen oftentimes fail is, CFO, controller, GM says, okay, we're going to start this program, but they fail to communicate that to their team or their staff. So when
nightmare, yeah.
no, so when we come to install it, service advisors like, I'm not doing this,
Yeah.
So I think transparency, being upfront, making sure we work with them on their talk tracks. Believe it or not, if all of that is very transparent and communicated to the customer, you are not going to see a big drop in CSI because it's been, properly introduced.
So from your vantage point as CEO of the company, is this a strategy that you would recommend? You hate to do something because quote, everyone else is doing it, but it does seem like everyone else is doing it. Is it something you recommend and advocate for as a line item?
So, I've been in this business for 25 years, and obviously my career is payment processing with software. But, I do recommend doing it if you 100% believe that you're with a provider that's compliant, that knows the business, that's going to be on the front end of anything that changes ongoing. It is a way for dealers to recoup a ton of their profits. But again, it's got to be implemented correctly. I mean, Sam, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars more, depending on,
or millions.
I've got huge dealers doing it, and I've got 50 plus location dealers doing it. So we don't push it. It's not something that we would say I don't want your business unless you're doing it. We want everyone's business, of course, but it's hot, and it's a way to really make that bottom line look a little better.
So Julie, payment processing and that surcharge, that's the hot topic of the last couple of years, right? And many are more adopting it. In your world, what's that next thing that's similar to it? What's that next thing that a lot of dealers are considering or thinking about? What's that next opportunity for our dealer body that's watching that they could capitalize on today?
So, you talk about, increasing profits or saving money, right? There's a lot of those things that aren't like red and flashing in front of you, which you don't really know because, maybe you've not seen an alternative. It's like the hidden costs, the things associated with those manual processes, the things that are associated with that poor customer experience. So where we're really pushing is to make sure all processes are automated. But like I tell anybody with any new technology going into a dealer, if the users don't adopt it, then you're not getting the full ROI out of what you just purchased. So one of the things we've done just a ton of work on, especially, the customer experience, the implementations process, that hands-on approach is just to make sure whatever we do, even if it's really cutting edge and really modern, is that the user experience is simple and easy. So that's very important, I think, for any software provider.
Okay, Julie, as we wrap up, just a kind of a rapid fire question for you. Yes. What are just a few hidden costs or inefficiencies that you see in dealerships that, if I'm a CFO, again, thinking about staying up late at night, like the payment credit card processing, doing it right, that's definitely one. Overall compliance and making sure ease of transaction and that your people who are taking payments have all the data in front of them. That's probably two. What are 2 or 3 other hidden costs or inefficiencies I might think about?
Sure. So one big one, and we're probably going to get into the season where it's a little more prevalent, is fraud. A lot of systems, payment systems specifically, are not mitigating fraud real time. And where we've spent also a lot of resources in making sure, whether it's variable, fixed, after the fact, before, is to control loss. And it's actually a bigger topic. I hate to admit it's not the sexiest topic, but at the same time, it's hugely important. So from a CFO's perspective, they don't want to go to their dealer principal and say, hey, we had a $50,000 chargeback on a vehicle, so because this person was fraudulent. So I think, when choosing a provider, you've really got to bring up that topic because it's a big one.
So, Julie, is there I've seen a ton of fraud. We just did an industry spotlight with a company called MavSign, and MavSign actually will, for all these remote deliveries are a huge problem right now. They're actually taking a very digital process and they're actually making it manual by actually sending a live person out to do a signature, a signing ceremony. So you can actually validate where it's happening, who's signing. You can do the whole notary, all that. Is there a technology or a process in your world that dealers might think about adopting to help avoid or eliminate that fraud on the payment processing side?
Sure. So there's two kinds of fraud. There's real fraud, like stolen payment types and things like that, or stolen identities. And then there's something called friendly fraud. So the real fraud, the bad fraud, is using systems. Like, for example, we use an Equifax company called Count, where we can do real-time mitigation on things like this person's associated with a lot of chargebacks. Maybe they've been associated with a fraud, or maybe there's an algorithm that really makes this transaction look and smell funny. So we're able to say, okay, dealer user, we recommend doing a little more research on this before you let this transaction process. So that's one of the things. You had mentioned signatures. With our DMS integration, we're getting a signature on everything, even if they're not in the dealership. It's all about making sure the customer authorizes the goods, services, and the payment type that they're using. And we have a signature, not just on a receipt, but an RO, a parts ticket, a deal, etc. Now, back to friendly fraud, this is something where, I've seen ridiculous stuff. Like, I didn't like the way the service manager talked to me. I'm not paying for this, right? There's certain things like that. Again, I'm going to go back to that signature component. They did sign off on it. So when it comes down to a chargeback, you've got the ammunition and the tools you need to submit a rebuttal and probably win the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Julie Douglas, CEO, founder, DealerPay LLC. It's awesome to have you on the show to talk about all things fraud, the different things that keep CFOs up at night. The credit card surcharging is fascinating. And thanks for reminding us about the importance of keeping up on that. Just a couple comments from our audience as we let you go here. Igor K, 3 comments from him. Most dealers don't charge you a service fee for using a credit card in the amount of $5,000 or less. Most dealers don't want to use a credit card payment on bills over $5K. We're actually seeing more of that, I think. Same with doc fees. You charge all or none, but you can't be selective about it, who you will charge and who you will not. So I do think, Julie, that's what you spoke to a little bit. And then Igor says, as a former dealer principal, I'm not in favor of service fees. Labor and parts costs are already on the rise, and that already shifting customers to independent repair shops away from dealers. But as those things are on the rise, it's just more expensive. So, Julie, we appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate you joining us and for sharing your perspectives. Julie Douglas, thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Fascinating conversation. Have you ever been annoyed to get surcharged? You're at a restaurant and you're like, really? You're going to charge me 3% for, what?
3%? That's not even the one that annoys me. How about when you're at a restaurant, you're ordering at a kiosk and they're asking for a 20% tip? We can get into an interesting. But that's a surcharge, right? I'm doing the ordering myself. This is a POS. I'm ordering myself and I'm going to walk away with my own food. I'm going to give who? Me a tip?
Yeah. Well, and I think they use social pressure to try to push you into that.
For sure.
But my strategy on that is if nobody's bringing it to me, delivering it to me, it doesn't qualify for that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And to push back on Igor for a second, even the independents are doing surcharges. I promise you, everyone is. At least in New Jersey, everyone's doing surcharges. Yeah.
Which is, by the way, when I hear that, I'm like, that's not a great. Everybody's doing it, so we should.
No, it's not a great. But
no, let's talk lot links. Hey, everybody, get the best possible market advantage on every vehicle transaction. Optimize operations, boost profits using artificial intelligence and machine learning. Learn more at lotlinks.com, or you can click on the QR code to my side there to learn more information about that. props, and thanks to Lot Links for supporting today's content on the Daily Dealer Live show. So, yeah, and in fact, Yuli, to your point, McDonald's. I'm not going to admit that I've ever eaten at McDonald's, but I did get a twisty cone there once, and it was just hilarious to me. You can go up, you can order from the kiosk, and then there's like this little there's this tip line at the very end. I'm kind of like, wait, how does that make any sense? So look, we've teased Greg Johnson, who's general manager of Mohawk Honda. They're selling over 500 units a month in a town that is smaller than that. They should never be hitting that volume. So we're excited to learn more about his tips, trade secrets. So Greg Johnson, general manager, Mohawk Honda, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And sorry for that glitch with my computer. Of course, the one time I'm coming on, it shuts down. So
we don't even know about the glitch.
Yep,
it's all gone.
That's the way live TV is. So
yeah, Greg, we gotta hit you with the signature question, man. We're excited for you to be here, and we gotta give a little shout out to your friend later, but not yet. How's biz?
Biz is awesome. I mean, it's great. It's great to be a Honda dealer. It's great to be an automotive dealer right now. Things are good, and the future is bright.
Yeah, well, quantify that for us a little bit, because obviously it's great to be a Honda dealer. It's great to be a Honda dealer right now. But where are you? Where is Mohawk Honda, and what are you doing?
Sure. So we're in upstate New York. We're in Scotia, New York. It's about 7,500 people, and yeah, we're consistently doing over 500 cars a month. We just finished up August, 532 cars. It was 280 new. 252 used. So strong performance for us here in August in such a small market.
Yeah. Now, where does that put you nationwide on the new car side, CPO side?
Sure. So I don't have this morning's report, but as of yesterday, for the nation, we were 7th for certified and 22nd for new.
That's, extraordinary considering your competition in the Honda market, nonetheless, and where your competitors are located. We've had Brian on the show here, King Kong over at Paragon, and you're up in upstate New York doing big things. Oh, I think he knows you're coming for him. Give us some tips here. Being that you're not in, I won't say it's not the best market, because obviously the best market is whatever market you're in, but you're doing amazing things in upstate New York. So to me, that always leans back to, there's a lot of people making excuses for where they are or what they're selling or what. What are you doing differently under your rooftop you're attributing to so much success?
Sure. So the people in the process, for me, my biggest passion is customer experience and the customer journey and making it easy to transact with us here at Mohawk Honda. Some of the biggest complaints you hear from consumers is, hey, I already gave you that information. Why am I coming in the showroom and you're asking for it again? So how do we just make that streamlined? How do we make it easier so that people talk about us in a positive tone and they talk about their experience here with their friends, their family members, and not just, oh, I went and got my oil change today. No, I went and got my oil change at Mohawk Honda and they did X, Y, and Z. You have to go check it out.
What's something that you can point out as far as, that experience specifically in the service drive?
Sure. So what I did was about a year ago, Unreasonable Hospitality, my favorite book here.
I love that.
Nice.
Yeah. Unreasonable Hospitality. If you haven't read that book, get yourself a copy. It will change your life. So I had every single manager, variable and fixed, read the book. And then 20 group style, I had them come present their best idea of how to increase customer experience and customer journey. And it was incredible. Everybody bought in. I had some managers that are like, I haven't read a book from high school, and I read this book. So it was pretty cool to get the buy-in from the team. But something that we implemented was a greeter system in our service drive. So I have 2 greeters. Every single appointment is on an iPad. And we start the day with about 120 to 130 appointments and ramp up with the walk-ins. But when a customer pulls in, let's say it's 9 a.m., they see a red Odyssey coming in. Okay, that's Mr. Smith. He's here for an oil change and a tire rotation. He pulls in. You're great, Mr. Smith. Thanks for coming in today. I see you're here for your oil change and tire rotation. I'm going to get you set up with Steve, who's your service advisor for the day. And then Steve comes out, and he's already got a pre-write done from the night before because that appointment is pre-assigned to him. So he comes out, smooth transition. Mr. Smith, you're here for your oil change tire rotation. And it's just such an incredible process because people have anxiety coming in for service, especially if they've never been here before. So
Yeah.
it's intimidating. They're pulling in. Oh my gosh, who's going to greet me? What are they going to say? What's going to happen? And when it's a smooth and easy and just comforting feeling when they come in, it's pretty incredible.
Greg, is there a technology or a tool you're using to help facilitate that from an organizational standpoint? With as many UIO as units in operation as you have, that's a tremendous amount of volume coming in and out of your service department.
Sure. So every single customer, we've partnered with UVI. So UVI, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. If it's an alignment system, and it also will do an over the car scan. So if somebody comes in and there's dents on the roof or the tires are past the manufacturer's suggested date, it will actually throw those up on a screen. You can review with the customer. I mean, we have an in-house PDR person, in-house windshield repair person, interior repair, wheel repair. All of that is internal. So, when somebody comes in for an oil change, it's an easy upsell. Oh, you want to take care of your curb rash while you're here? We'll get it done in a pretty quick turnaround for that.
Are you able to quantify that back to an impact to your service department? I looked at it way back in the early days. I don't know what it looks like from a pricing standpoint. I assume you probably lease it. Are you able to quantify that back to an increased dollar per hour increase?
I mean, we've seen an increase in hour per RO with the implementation of the greeters and the UVI of 12 tenths, which is pretty significant. In
on your
world,
volume.
Anybody to see an increase of over a tenth of an hour per RO, that's pretty strong.
All right, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask the question. You don't have to answer, but what does it cost? What does it run?
It's not cheap.
Okay.
But it definitely pays for itself. The ROI is there. It's a pretty cool system.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're churning a lot back there on the fixed side, and that's the backbone of everything. So, what's your service department look like? I mean, that you're able to handle this kind of volume.
Sure, it's not as big as you would think, but we're doing about $1 million in gross a month in service. About 3,300 customer pay ROs a month through there, plus all the internals, and we're pretty close 1-to-1 as far as new to use. So there's a lot of internal work that goes back there, and it's a very well-oiled machine, and I got a lot of great support back there.
Wow, what's your staffing look like back there?
Oh, it's a lot. You don't want to see my payroll expense. No, I'm just kidding. They're I've got 12 advisors. I've got a service manager, an assistant service manager. I got 28 techs. And a really cool system I've got in the back is I have a shop foreman who is basically my in-house instructor who teaches the express technicians how to progress into the main shop. Everybody knows technicians, there's a huge shortage of them. So we implemented, he's basically our trainer in-house. They don't have to go to school. He trains them up. And I'm happy to say I have 8 technicians in the main shop that are now master technicians that started with us in Express. That's all because of him. So you got to groom your own, build your own bench.
For sure. Well, my next question was going to be, and it was going to apply more to the sales side, but how are you training and retaining or cultivating, top talent? And it could be under either house.
Sure. So what we do in the sales department, generally, we will bring a new hire in as a delivery coordinator. So we have delivery coordinators go over all the deliveries with customers. We like to bring somebody in that position so they can learn our culture, learn the cars, and then we know if they're really a good fit to progress onto the sales floor. We do weekly training. I have a floor manager, and then a sales manager rotates through, a finance manager, to do weekly training with the sales staff. It's mandatory, it's required, they have to do it, and it's revolving topics based on things that we see as a big need, at the time. So training is a huge thing. We want the staff to be trained to be able to answer any questions, and just to get better.
We talk about this all the time with the newer generation and how, the car market has shifted, rather the staffing, the people, the old car guys are phasing out of the industry and the new people are coming in. What's some of the carrots that you're dangling, to attract, the type of people that you want to fit in?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the days of working people bell to bell and, grind into debt. Like those days are over. Like you got to take care of your people. And a lot of the time it's giving them more time. That's a commodity that you don't get any more of. It never comes back. So what we've done for our top performers is give them a flex schedule. So if you're the top salesperson for the month, the next month
like that.
you kind of pick your own schedule, come and go as you please. And you would think that would come to bite you because, are they going to show up? Are they not?
No, they
No,
want
they
more
still
deals.
want to perform.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
So
sure.
it's been a huge benefit. And these guys always battle back and forth. Who's going to get the top spot?
Yeah.
But that's been super beneficial for us. And we throw out a lot of spiffs that are not money related, but a weekend away with their significant other to a nice hotel and give them some spending money.
That's nice.
You can't burn people out. It's you got to keep them fresh, and we want them out of the store, enjoying their time, recharging the batteries. It's so important.
And you can't burn them out, but success does create more success, right? So as you
Mhm.
start to have that success and you get the reward of additional time off and trips and things like that, that creates momentum, which is tough for anyone else to replicate or duplicate.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the front end sales piece. So given your volume, you so far outpunt your competition.
Yes.
What is your strategy as it relates to lead generation? Who are your top one or two lead providers? What's your best way of putting yourself out there to bring those customers in on both new and used to sell 500 plus units a month?
Yeah. With our reputation, we get so much organic traffic.
Mm.
It's tough to say. A lot of repeat and referral customers. It's a ton of word of mouth, just because of the reputation we built. But of course, we're signed up with the third parties, the Auto Traders and the Cars.com and Car Gurus, all of those things. But as far as a lot of our traffic comes through our own website from people that the leads come in. Oh, I was referred by Joe Blow. He told me to see Brian on the sales floor. And that's a majority of our business. And I think that's a lot of what leads to our success. And a lot of people think that when you get to this size and this volume, that you're just buying deals and you're selling cars to brokers and fleet companies. And no, like our grosses are above the district average and we're still selling all the cars.
And to the point, success does create more success. So people love to be in that environment, selling in that environment, because it creates more success, more deals. So is there a spiff program, or is there a process that you have out there for the sales associates to kind of reinforce that repeat referral and bring customers back in?
We don't incentivize the sales consultants. We actually are having a meeting on this next week as far as, okay, a self-generated lead, are we going to pay them more on that? Which I think we should. I think that would be a game changer for the mentality on the sales floor. We do obviously give bird dogs in New York City. You can get bird dogs. We give bird dogs to people that refer customers in. And then we do a biannual drawing for $1,000 for somebody that was sent in a referral. So,
Eager K agrees. He says word of mouth does impact traffic. And I love how you're saying the number one lead source is your own website. Eager K says any dealership that can manage to have less than 30% of turnover in staffing, that dealership is doing well. And
we don't have any turnover. I mean, very minimal. I mean, there's, some of the younger staff that it's their first job and they're going off to school and things like that. But once people come in here, they don't leave. Like they want to be here. They believe in what we're doing. They see the
Mohawk Mafia.
The Mohawk, that's it. And we just have a ton of fun. I was telling Julie this the other day. It's you battle the the fun culture and the accountability and finding that happy medium. And I'm on the side of let's have fun. I got the music cranking out there in the showroom. Half the employees are telling me, "Oh, come turn it down like it's too loud." I don't know. I like to have fun, but you got to have that accountability with it too.
And Greg, how long have you been there at Mohawk Honda? Because you obviously have contagious energy. Okay. And how long have you been there as general manager?
About 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. And when did you first hit that 500 unit mark? When was that?
Oh, let's see. Just before COVID, we had hit 600 once or twice. That was our goal. Wow. Like, we got to get 600. Yeah. We got to get 600. And then COVID comes and, volume drops off. But, the past few years, we average over 500 quite a bit. In March, when everybody was knocking out of the park, we hit 650. And I know that there's a ton of upside potential here I don't
Yeah.
see why we can't do 600, 700, 800 cars. People think, well, oh, we're at the top, like in the district. Yeah, but there's so much more juice in the squeeze.
Greg, your energy, your contagious energy and enthusiasm and just the love of this business, it echoes a little bit at one of our stores, Racine Honda in Racine, Wisconsin. It'd be cool to connect you up with the GM of that store. His name's Matt, because they're chasing that 500 units and then the 600 units. And to everything we've talked about, when you hit a volume like that and you've got a sales team so dialed in, so aligned, it actually creates more momentum and it creates more excitement. And everybody loves being part of something that is a winning team. And Matt's created that there within the Ziegler world. You've obviously created that in your world. I have one last question, then back to you, Yuli, is co-op. How important is our co-op dollars for you in the Honda world?
Honda doesn't do co-op.
Okay.
Honda doesn't do co-op. So we got no co-op.
That's easy.
Yeah. They actually did throw out a little bit on the prologue for the first time ever when they were pushing EVs. So we took full advantage of it. But other than that, no co-op in the Honda world.
What's their strategy on that?
On the EVs?
Yeah, no. What's their strategy on no co-op when so many other OEMs try to control the ad spend, the dollar spend?
You'd have to ask
co-op.
them.
Honda's big on coupons behind the scenes. Like they never want to rebate. They never want a subvented rate. I mean, very rarely, but
they don't want to devalue the brand. And I think that's what they see it as. That's my opinion, but
which in your world, it's working, right? So
for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, things are good.
Before I forget, we got to give the shout out to Roland though, because he texted me at midnight last night, actually at 12:18 a.m. Roland ended up at number 3 and number 9 Nissan store in the nation. So
Roland is a great dude. He is single-handedly dominating that market down there.
Yeah. And he's got great boots.
Yes, he does.
I'm wondering.
Yes, he does. Every time. So those of you that don't know, I don't know if it was said, but he was in my NADA Academy class, and every single day he would come in with a different pair of boots. And me from upstate New York, I have no idea about cowboy boots and he's like, this one is made from a lizard skin and this one's made from this. I'm butchering this, but he's telling me about the cost involved with these things. And I was like,
oh my God, it's crazy.
Like, you're crazy.
You're preaching to the choir. I went down and visited him in Dallas and I'm like, they actually match the suits, but
yes, they do. Oh yeah.
Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
Hey, Greg, just one thought that came to my mind. So we have a ton of dealer principals that are watching this show. Who's the owner operator of Mohawk Honda? Who's the dealer principal?
Sure. So it's two brothers. There's Jeff and Steve Harridan. They are third generation. Their grandfather started in 1919 with a Chevrolet store and carried that through into the 70s. And in 1970, Honda came to him, approached him, hey, do you want a Honda franchise? And they decided to take the leap and give it a shot. And a few years later, they shut down the Chevrolet franchise and went all in on Honda. So two brothers, Jeff and Steve Harridan.
That was winning with the great OEM today, right? Their decision was proved out hand over fist. So one question we get a lot of among the owner operators, the dealers that watch is, you're the general manager. How often do you meet with the owners? And what does that back and forth look like? You've created a great result. How much of that is a conversation between the two of you? Who sets the vision? How often do these interactions happen in your world?
Sure. So the easiest way to say it is they have full trust in me to run the day-to-day operations.
You're empowered.
I'm empowered, and it trickles down for me. I empower the staff here down to the lot attendants. Like if they have a good idea, they're not afraid to bring it to me. And that's something that I truly believe in. Not to get off on a tangent real quick, but I'm walking through the shop about a year ago and I see one of the guys down a little bit. I'm like, what's going on? Like, what can I do to help back here? And he goes, you want to know something, Greg? I would love some ice cream back here. Ice cream. Okay. So I went and bought a freezer and I stock it with ice cream weekly for the technicians, and they love it. And something that simple. And that's what
I want ice cream.
Yeah.
You come here, I'll treat you to an ice cream.
Let's do it.
But I've got a stocked freezer in the back with ice cream, and just little things like that make a difference. But getting back to conversations with the dealer principals, maybe if we talk once a week and it's not even really business, just checking in. Hi, how you doing? Anything on your radar? But they trust me 100% to run the day-to-day operations. And if there's something that they want done or looked at, they definitely reach out. But there's not a ton of communication.
I
And
think
then
that's so critical. Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
go ahead, Yuli. Yeah. Go
No,
ahead.
I think it's
you're
so.
right.
I think it's so critical to empower. And it starts from the top down, right? If you empower people, you get them to care, right, about the surroundings. If someone thinks they don't have a voice, they don't have an opinion, they just walk around with their blinders on. So it's really super important. As much as you have your head on a swivel and you're noticing anything and everything, to have those extra mouths around the store that are like, "Hey, I noticed this isn't just right," or "Hey, here's something that I could do." I think that's super, super smart. I know we're jumping around a bit, but I want to bring back to feeding the beast, right? So you're doing 200 plus used cars as well out of a single point Honda store. How are
Yep.
you feeding that? What's your acquisition strategy? Are you buying off the street? Are you incentivizing? What's that look like?
Sure. So a majority of the cars are trades. We do a phenomenal job at acquiring trades and making sure we're maximizing our take rate there. We do buy cars at the auction, and we do buy a ton of cars off the street through our Kelly Blue Book ICO program. That nets us between 30 and 50 cars a month, the Kelly Blue Book program.
Wow.
And we probably purchase at auction maybe about 10 to 12 cars a week.
Okay.
But the rest are trades.
Can we put
Not
some
many.
dollars on
Yeah.
this, on the used car side? Like, what do the grosses look like front, back? What are you spending in reconditioning? I mean, or how are your ICO cars comparing with, your regular trades? I mean, is this something
Sure.
that you have top of mind?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the trades and the ICOs are higher grosses. The auction purchases, by the time you get them here, you pay the transportation,
Hmm.
you pay the fees. Like, yeah, that affects your front gross. Our average recon on used cars is just north of $2,600 per car. So we don't cheap on
Wow.
anything when it comes to
That's
when it
high.
comes to a used
That's high.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it pays itself forward. Like my policy, my comebacks are super
Yeah.
low. And the
Yeah.
reputation, people come here, they know the car's gonna have new tires, it's gonna have new brakes. Like they're not gonna come for their first service, and you're like, oh, you need tires, you need brakes, you need this and
Yeah.
that.
That kills
It's already
everything.
done.
Mhm.
Yes, it kills the CSE for service. People don't
Yeah,
want to come
that
back
car
and
should
buy
need
a car.
nothing for 12 months other than oil changes. I'm with you. I'm
Correct.
I'm I'm shocked though. Honestly, I mean that's probably twice as high as I figured for a Honda store. I
Yeah.
Yeah,
figured you were
it's high.
somewhere in the
I mean,
1400, 1600, even like, reconditioning the hell out of an automobile. That's great.
yeah,
Props to
so
you for
that's
doing it.
it's up
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
but you get the money back in
Oh,
fixed
I agree.
retention.
I agree.
Greg, do you surcharge, borrowing from our conversation with Julie earlier?
It's so funny you say that. I've looked into this so many times because I go to my
Yeah.
20 group meetings, and about half of my 20 group does surcharging, half doesn't.
Yeah.
New York, the laws are very strict, so it's difficult in New York State. But it's been a topic of conversation because we're spending about 30 grand a month in credit card
Yeah.
That's a
fees here.
lot. Yeah.
It,
That's a lot of money.
yeah,
Like
it's a
that's
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so.
It can't be a source of profit. If I'm familiar with what it is in New York, it can't be a source of profit because I
Correct.
believe it's the same as New Jersey. You can just claw back some of it. I
Yeah.
know in New Jersey, at least, it needs to be offered kind of as dual pricing. So everything is disclosed up front as this is our cash price. With your cash down payment of $5,000, or the cash price for your brakes is XYZ. And then you're disclosing that with signs everywhere saying credit card is a 2.5% or 3% convenience
Correct.
fee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Nope, I was good. I've thought about it many times over several years. And my controller actually brought it up yesterday morning. Was like, "Hey, we probably should look at this again." So,
Yeah.
it's definitely at the forefront of our minds.
Yeah.
So as we get towards wrapping, just one last question. Again, as successful an operation as you have, as good a retention as you have, as many units you sell, your CPO ranking, and all that, what's something that you're thinking about over the next 6 months?
Mhm.
Whether it's something that kind of keeps you up at night or just a business practice you're trying to figure out and hone in. Like, what's the next evolution for you of success over these next 6 months?
I believe that we have so much upside potential in our sales department. And when it comes to customer experience, the one thing that I've really been pushing the team on is personalized, dynamic engagement with our customers when they're not here. And
Mhm.
what that means for us is we're sending a customer a video of a car. If they inquire on a Civic that's on the lot, we're going out there. Hey, Joe, I'm here in front of your Civic. Thanks for inquiring. I know your hot buttons were the heated seats and the this. Just wanted to send this over. Boom, send it. Because nobody else is sending their sales customers videos.
Yeah.
Personalized, dynamic to the car. I was talking to Yuli about this, and I think that I don't have the facts in front of me, but our closing ratio on leads that we send a video to versus just a regular text, call, or email is probably double.
Wow.
So why not do that for everybody?
What?
And the feedback from the customers is incredible. Oh my gosh, thanks for sending a video. Like, that's incredible.
What technology, Greg, are you using to deliver the video?
Sure. So we're shooting the video right on our iPhones, and we send it right through Vin Solutions.
Yeah.
So which is our
Why,
CMS.
why do you think it is? So we believe in the video piece, right? Why is it so blasted tough to get people to just do a flipping video? Like, why is it so hard?
They're afraid to get in front of the camera. Like, oh my gosh, what if I say the wrong thing? What if I slip up? And I tell them all, like, you just got to do it. I remember my first Facebook Live that I ever did. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like, I'm stumbling, I'm stuttering. Like, it was a hot mess. Like, I almost wanted to delete it. But I'm like, no, I got to power through. Like, I just got to do this. And then I did another one. It got better. You just have to.
You got to do the reps.
You got to do the reps.
And you embrace the discomfort, right? What's uncomfortable isn't necessarily bad. You just got to get to the other side of it. Well, Greg Johnson, General Manager, Mohawk Honda, we appreciate you being on the show, sharing your perspectives and your success. We'd love to have you back one day to talk more about it. So, Greg, thanks for being on the show.
Cool. Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yuli, that was a great conversation. That was super interesting to hear all the different areas that he's focused on in creating this high volume Honda store out there. So, and guess what, Yuli? Guess what today is? It's our 50th. It's our 50th
anniversary.
Happy 50th. So it's not 50th anniversary. Yeah.
That's true.
So this is the 50th episode, which is pretty cool if you think about all the people and all the different topics we've covered over these past 50 episodes. It's the 50th, and here's to 50 more.
Yeah. Well, 500 more. I wonder if we could quantify the amount of dollars saved on the dealer level from just listening to us and growing with us.
Because it's like a best practice 20 group live every Monday, Wednesday.
That's right.
Friday.
You don't want to miss it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, great conversation. And to you who've made this 50 possible, our loyal listening audience, Daily Dealer Live, thank you for watching the Daily Dealer Live, where we break down, and we still break down, the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. Please don't forget, we're here live every Monday, Wednesday, and you know it, we'll be back Friday. So if this is your world, hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never, ever miss a beat. And we'll see you next episode. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.